As Lu Shang marveled at the manifestation of his new weapon, a curtain of dust rose dramatically behind the mountains, signifying the arrival of powerful forces. A grand magic circle, illuminated with an otherworldly glow, materialized in the sky above Lu Shang. Within this celestial formation, four smaller magic circles appeared, each pulsing with a distinct energy. Lu Shang, with his arms outstretched and his heart pounding, observed the spectacle with a mix of awe and anticipation. The orange magic circle, emblazoned with the symbol of a sword, captured his attention. The sight of this totem, a bloody sword, stood in stark contrast to the divine whale riding the wave, radiating an intensity and clarity that made it unmistakably potent. Lu Shang's mind raced as he connected the dots, recognizing this as Gu Xian's second totem. He pondered its significance, noting that it was not just a symbol of power but a reflection of the profound and relentless force embodied by Gu Xian, the master of slaughter. He drew a parallel between Gu Xian and Zhou Fuhai, a master with white hair from Jiyun Mountain. Though both were martial saints of the 9th level, Gu Xian's path of slaughter granted him an unparalleled edge. Lu Shang contemplated the disparity in their strengths, realizing that the combat abilities he had acquired were still difficult to fully gauge. The sword that was taking shape before him promised a leap in power, and he knew he had to put it to the test. With deliberate motions, Lu Shang extended his hand towards the magic circle. A formidable sword, forged from blazing fire, began to take form. This new weapon eclipsed his previous armament, the Cold Sparrow Spear, in both potency and ferocity. The sword, wreathed in searing flames, materialized fully within moments. Lu Shang grasped the hilt firmly, and as the blade's flames roared and writhed, he couldn't suppress his smile. This was no ordinary weapon. It was a fire-forged masterpiece, a testament to Gu Xian's lethal prowess. Determined to gauge the sword's potential, Lu Shang brought the blade close to his face, the intense heat of the flames making his skin tingle. He tested the weapon with a series of rapid, precise slashes, each cut slicing through the dream space with astonishing ease. The sword's power was so overwhelming that it cleaved the very fabric of the dream realm into fragments, which rained down like confetti. Lu Shang stood amid the falling shards, his expression one of fierce satisfaction. The sword's flames intensified as he stabilized them with a commanding grip. The realization dawned on him. Gu Xian's refined killing intent had become an unparalleled weapon in his own hands. The sword's ability to disrupt and dismantle the dream space was a clear testament to its extraordinary capabilities. However, as he admired the sword's might, a pang of regret struck him. The 8 million merit points he had invested in upgrading the red crystal spear now felt like a waste. The newfound power of the sword rendered his previous investment obsolete. Despite the initial disappointment, Lu Shang's mood brightened. Surrounded by a vibrant blue aura, he reveled in the triumph of having acquired a weapon perfectly suited to his martial style. The sword was more than just an instrument of power. It was an extension of his martial art, seamlessly integrated into his combat techniques without any of the adverse effects that plagued other warriors. But even with this formidable weapon at his disposal, Lu Shang knew his journey was far from over. He needed to secure additional resources, dense silver and gold, to further enhance his capabilities. The morning sun filtered through the windows of Lu Shang's mansion, casting a soft glow across the opulent dining hall. Lu Shang, freshly awakened from his dreams, took his place at the dining table, a tablet in hand. With the serene ambience of the room, he sipped his tea while skimming through the day's headlines. The first article he read reported the successful quelling of a riot at the SS-level spatial crack in the Northern Military District. Lu Shang's eyes briefly lingered on the text, acknowledging the tactical prowess required for such an achievement. The second article raised concerns about potential new spatial rifts forming at the front lines of the northern region, hinting at future conflicts and challenges. As he continued scrolling, the third article highlighted the successful defense of the spatial crack on the 9th front of the Eastern Military District. This crack, now classified as a AA rank, was a significant victory. Lu Shang's thoughts wandered to the implications of this defense, recognizing the dedication and strategic brilliance behind it. Holding the tablet with one hand, Lu Shang brought his cup of tea closer, preparing to take a sip. His gaze, however, was caught by an intriguing headline. A broad smile began to spread across his face as he read about the upcoming grand competition among the military branches. Preparations were underway for a military exercise in the General District, where top military personnel would vie for supremacy. The structure of the competition was clear. First, a rehearsal across the military districts, followed by the great competition in the General Military District. The contest would compare the 3 levels of star generals: General Star Level 7, General Star Level 8, and finally, the aspirants for the position of Great General. In the entire Eastern Military District, only 4 Grand Generals existed, and across the Dragon Country, fewer than 30 held such a title. This competition was set to be a grand and defining event. As Lu Shang prepared to sip his tea, another headline drew his attention. He scanned the summary of popular candidates for the new general, his eyes widening slightly when he saw his own photo at the top of the list. It was anticipated that he would rank among the top 20 contenders in the upcoming military competition. His calm demeanor shifted to one of contemplation as he read further, noting that only individuals with a combat power of 12.5 stars or higher could hope to secure a top 20 position. The realization dawned on him. Apart from himself, there were numerous supreme masters in the army. His mind conjured the image of a formidable general, a man with a claw scar and a robotic arm, crackling with electricity. This Eastern Emperor, the top-ranked individual with a combat strength reaching 27 stars, was said to have an actual combat strength exceeding 30 stars. The marshals, even more powerful than the Grand Generals, were a testament to the army's immense strength. Lu Shang's thoughts turned reflective as he continued to read. The army's obsession with level 9 martial saints, despite their vast number of formidable warriors, was understandable. The lack of a single level 9 martial saint was a striking anomaly, a challenge that the military had yet to overcome. A smile returned to Lu Shang's face as he considered Tan Zhengyu's test and the opportunity it presented. The talent he had displayed as a student at the university had captured Tan Zhengyu's interest. Securing first place in the military competition would not only surprise Tan Zhengyu, but also earn him significant merits. The prospect of rising to the challenge invigorated him, fueling his desire to excel in the upcoming trials. As Lu Shang continued reading the news, his expression shifted drastically. A chilling report flashed across the screen, detailing a horrific attack by a cult on the Eagle Nation. The article described masked men who had launched a brutal assault on a village, resulting in a mass sacrifice. The cult's influence had been spreading, reaching into the western regions with increasing aggression. In the past 3 years alone, their attacks had claimed 13,671 lives, left 126 seriously injured, and wounded 325 others. Lu Shang's anger surged uncontrollably. His fingers tightened around the tablet until it shattered under the pressure, the screen cracking into a web of fractured glass. His eyes burned with fury as he stared at the remnants of the device. The gruesome details of the cult's actions, men drained of blood, wrapped in women's skins, and fed to the cult followers, filled him with a profound rage. He recalled Gu Xian's memories, revealing the cult's dark dealings with otherworldly forces. Their thirst for power drove them to ally with mutant beasts and sow chaos among humanity. In Lu Shang's mind, these malevolent insects needed to be eradicated immediately. Determined to act, Lu Shang resolved to first venture into the depths of a high-risk spatial crack to acquire essential mineral resources. He knew that to confront the cult effectively, he needed both powerful equipment and a strategic advantage. Reaching for his mobile phone, he dialed Hongyu. As the call connected, Hongyu's voice crackled with surprise and concern. Upon hearing Lu Shang's intent to explore the depths of a AAA-rank spatial crack, she was taken aback and asked if he was truly set on this perilous journey. Soon after, Hongyu assembled her team to discuss the mission. With a hand resting on her waist, she made another call to Lu Shang, confirming their arrangement. They would serve as guides in exchange for a tenth of the resources they collected. They agreed to meet at the entrance of the task center in the evening. Back at Hongyu's team headquarters, the bald man's excitement was palpable. His fists clenched with enthusiasm as he shared the news with the others. The prospect of being chosen by a first-class general for such a mission was unprecedented. He eagerly anticipated the opportunity, knowing that other level 8 teams would be envious of their fortune. Hongyu, however, maintained a measured tone, emphasizing the importance of building a good relationship with General Lu Shang rather than focusing solely on the reward. Her team nodded in agreement, their expressions a mix of anticipation and understanding. Amused by the interaction, the team members began teasing Hongyu about her potential romantic prospects with Lu Shang. They suggested she take advantage of the situation to win his favor. Hongyu, blushing and slightly annoyed, scolded them to stop their joking. As the evening approached, Hongyu's team prepared for the journey. The bald man took the wheel of their rugged jeep, while Hongyu, with a hint of disappointment, sat in the front seat. She had hoped to ride alongside Lu Shang, but instead, he drove a sleek, advanced SUV. As the convoy set off, Lu Shang's SUV quickly gained speed, leaving the jeep trailing behind. A few minutes before their departure, Lu Sheng, with one hand casually resting on the steering wheel, addressed Hongyu. "I've recently picked up driving," he said with a nonchalant grin. "I thought I'd get some practice before we head in. You and your team can take the other car." Hongyu's face fell as she heard this. The carefully crafted plan to get closer to Lu Sheng was unraveling before her eyes. Tears threatened to spill as she realized her chance to build a personal connection with the general was slipping away. She swallowed her disappointment and nodded, knowing there was little she could do. 3 hours later, the convoy arrived at a desolate stretch of wilderness under a sky tinged with an eerie purple hue. Lu Sheng parked the SUV and stepped out, surveying the unfamiliar terrain. Hongyu and her team emerged from the jeep, their expressions a mix of awe and apprehension. Lu Sheng scanned the area and turned to her. "Is this the place?" As dusk settled, the car lights illuminated the ominous entrance of the underground spatial crack. Hongyu, positioned behind Lu Sheng, took a deep breath and confirmed, "Yes, this is it." She gestured toward the dark abyss, her tone serious. "The spatial crack has multiple layers. The deeper we go, the more dangerous the mutant beasts become. And the most perilous layer of all is the abyss." Lu Sheng's curiosity was piqued by the mention of the abyss. He turned to Hongyu with a calm but inquisitive look. "What exactly is the abyss?" Hongyu's expression grew somber as she began her explanation. "Mutant beasts come from another world, or perhaps a different dimension. The abyss is a fragment of that world. It constantly emits a sinister aura that manifests here as a black mist. This mist can weaken firearms, disable electronic devices, and even corrode ordinary people, turning them into beasts." Lu Sheng's eyes narrowed as he considered this information. The black mist sounded eerily similar to the fog that pervaded his dream realm. So, this black mist, does it only affect ordinary people, or can it impact martial artists as well? Hongyu placed a reassuring hand on her chest and met Lu Sheng's gaze. "The mist mainly affects common people. Martial artists are less susceptible, but we still avoid the rifts if possible. The mutant beasts from the abyss are relentless and nearly endless." Lu Sheng's resolve hardened as he processed this information. The connection to the black mist in his dreams gave him a clearer understanding of its origin. Hongyu, observing Lu Sheng's contemplative expression, felt a pang of confusion. "We're ready to enter the spatial crack," she said, preparing to lead the way. As Hongyu started walking toward the entrance, Lu Sheng called out, halting her. "Wait a moment, I have a question." Hongyu stopped in her tracks, her brow furrowing in curiosity. She turned to face Lu Sheng, who now wore a mischievous smile. "What if I wanted to go straight into the abyss?" he asked, his eyes gleaming with a mix of challenge and intrigue. The reaction to Lu Sheng's intention to enter the abyss was immediate and intense. The members of Hongyu's team exchanged wide-eyed glances, their faces pale with shock. Hongyu's hands trembled as she anxiously fidgeted, her gaze fixed on the ground. I don't know what could happen if someone actually went directly into the abyss," she stammered, her voice barely above a whisper. Lu Sheng, undeterred, fixed them with a gaze full of steely determination. As he observed their reactions, a wry smile tugged at the corner of his lips. The realization dawned on him. No one had ever ventured into the abyss, at least not with any known outcome. Hongyu's anxiety deepened. Beads of sweat dotted her forehead as she spoke with a note of terror in her voice. "Not many have tried. Those who did, powerful martial saints among them, simply vanished. There's no record of what became of them. It's a secret buried deep within the Dragon Kingdom." A hushed silence followed her revelation. Lu Sheng remained calm, absorbing the gravity of her words. The mention of martial saints caught his attention. He raised an eyebrow, puzzled. Martial saints? What happened to the 4 who were sent 2 centuries ago? Hongyu's voice trembled as she recounted the tale. 200 years ago, 4 martial saints from the 4 countries entered different rifts. Since then, there has been no word from them. This remains one of the Dragon Kingdom's most closely guarded secrets. One of Hongyu's teammates, a burly man with a stern expression, stepped forward. "Are you certain you want to go into the abyss? With our current strength, we wouldn't stand a chance. It could cost us our lives." Hongyu shot a puzzled look at the man. Before Lu Sheng could respond, she interjected with a controlled tone. "This spatial crack is AAA level. As long as we don't descend below level 30, we should be fine. But the abyss," her voice faltered as she glanced nervously at Lu Sheng. "The abyss is not something to be taken lightly." Lu Sheng's gaze remained steady as he processed this. "Understood. I'll keep that in mind." With a resolute nod, he turned toward the entrance of the spatial crack. Without further hesitation, Lu Sheng leaped into the darkness, his form disappearing into the gaping maw. Hongyu and her team were left staring in stunned silence as he vanished from view. As Lu Sheng descended, a powerful golden aura enveloped him, casting an ethereal glow in the otherwise pitch-black void. His expression was one of unwavering focus as he plummeted through the layers of the spatial crack. His mind raced with thoughts of what secrets the abyss might hold. Upon reaching the bottom, Lu Sheng pushed himself off the walls, his movements precise and deliberate. He landed lightly and began to explore the area, his golden energy casting eerie shadows on the rugged terrain. Hongyu and her team followed shortly after, their faces a mix of fear and determination. Lu Sheng took small, controlled jumps, examining his surroundings with a meticulous eye. The others, though apprehensive, mirrored his actions, carefully following his lead. As he surveyed the area, Lu Sheng turned to Hongyu, his face a mask of concentration. Aside from the abyss, is there anything else significant within the spatial cracks? Hongyu, catching up with him, nodded solemnly. There are other dangers as well. Besides the abyss, the underground spatial cracks are known to harbor martial arts fanatics. These individuals are obsessed with their craft and can be as dangerous as the mutant beasts themselves. As Lu Sheng and Hongyu stood atop the rocky outcrop, the mention of martial arts fanatics made Lu Sheng pause. He placed one hand on the ground, steadying himself as he gazed down into the shadowy depths of the spatial crack. With a frown of curiosity, he asked, "Who exactly are these martial arts fanatics?" Hongyu sat down on a nearby rock, her eyes fixed on the dark abyss below. Her fingers traced patterns on the ground as she began to explain. These fanatics aren't part of any official military force. They've made the depths of these spatial cracks their home, training relentlessly for years. They're driven by an obsession with mastering the ultimate truths of martial arts. Lu Sheng peered into the hole, his expression thoughtful. Hongyu continued, "These individuals often come from martial schools, and their martial will is fierce. They're known for their intense combat capabilities, often surpassing even the most skilled of our general stars. They've survived amidst mutant beasts, honing their skills in isolation. They are formidable, and we know little about them." As Hongyu spoke, Lu Sheng's gaze shifted to a military skull lying nearby, a grim reminder of the dangers lurking in these depths. They began walking, Lu Sheng stepped steady and measured. He inquired, "Why should we be particularly cautious of them?" Hongyu fell into step beside him, her face a mix of concern and grim resolve. These fanatics are consumed by their obsession. They'll do anything to push the limits of their martial path, even drink dirty water or consume raw meat from mutant beasts. But that's not the worst part. Her eyes took on a haunted look as she described the horror. Some of them practice cannibalism, consuming the flesh of their own kind. They believe that by devouring the strong, they can absorb their power. Lu Sheng's eyes widened in shock, the weight of her words sinking in. He could scarcely believe the depths of depravity these individuals had sunk to. Compared to Gu Xian's path of ruthless killing, these fanatics had strayed far from any semblance of humanity. His resolve hardened. He knew he had to face them with unwavering determination. An hour later, they reached the 20th level of the spatial crack. The floor was littered with the remains of mutant beasts, some hacked into pieces, others lying lifeless on the ground. Hongyu and her team had clearly been busy, their breaths ragged from the recent battles. As she wiped the sweat from her brow, she sighed in relief. "This floor is finally clear," she said. They pressed on, reaching an entrance that glowed with a powerful light. Hongyu's expression turned serious. "This is the gateway to the depths of the spatial crack. Inside, the area will be shrouded in black fog, making visibility nearly impossible. We need to be extra cautious." Lu Sheng's fists clenched as he stared at the entrance with focused intensity. "Don't worry," he said firmly. "We'll handle it. Everyone stay close. I'll lead the way." Hongyu unsheathed her sword, her stance resolute. The others assumed an offensive posture, ready for whatever lay ahead. Lu Sheng took a deep breath, preparing himself for the challenge. As they approached the entrance, an ominous energy began to swell, an aura of malevolence that seemed to seep from the very walls of the spatial crack. As the malevolent energy surged around them, Lu Sheng stood resolute. His eyes were closed in deep concentration, both hands extended outward. The oppressive black mist swirled menacingly around him, but Lu Sheng's calm demeanor remained unshaken. Hongyu's eyes widened in alarm. Her hand reached out, trembling slightly. "What are you doing?" she demanded. her voice laced with anxiety. Without opening his eyes, Lu Sheng spoke with unwavering confidence. Don't worry. This is just a test. The energy can't harm me. He extended his arms further, gathering the swirling evil energy into a focused point. His immortal star body was designed to eliminate any dark energy that came into contact with it, rendering him nearly impervious to the malevolent forces surrounding them. In moments, the concentrated evil energy began to coalesce, forming a shimmering portal. The black mist, once suffocating, was now being funneled into this newly created passage. As the portal stabilized, a sudden movement caught everyone's attention. A mutant beast lunged from the shadows, its eyes gleaming with predatory intent. Hong Yu's heart raced. She shouted urgently, "Be careful! There's a beast coming from behind." Lu Sheng, still with his eyes closed, remained calm. He continued his steady advance, seemingly oblivious to the threat. As the beast closed in, it was met with a brilliant golden barrier that enveloped Lu Sheng's form, repelling the beast's attack effortlessly. The barrier pulsed with an intense light, disintegrating the mutant beast before it could even touch him. The sight left Hong Yu and her team speechless. Their jaws dropped as they watched the golden energy dissolve the beast's remains. Hong Yu, drenched in sweat, muttered in awe, "Even a level 5 Black Moon Weasel would struggle to get close to him. Is this the power of a 12-star general?" The bald man behind her was equally stunned. His eyes widened as he remarked, "It's not just his physical strength. His spiritual power is immense. Don't forget, General Lu Sheng has been battling mutant beasts nonstop for half a month, expending immense vital energy." Hong Yu, overwhelmed by the display of power, could only stand in stunned silence. Her gaze softened as she watched Lu Sheng stride confidently forward, his body radiating with golden energy. The purple-haired man shook his head, arms crossed. "I don't know how Lu Sheng trains, but compared to him, I always feel inadequate." The orange-haired man nodded in agreement, adding, "I thought I'd have to fight alongside him to earn merit points. Now it seems like he's handling everything on his own." Hong Yu, her cheeks flushing with admiration, finally spoke. "We should consider this an honor, accompanying General Lu Sheng through the spatial crack. Not everyone gets this privilege." Suddenly, Lu Sheng gathered his energy and charged forward with impressive force. His golden aura flared brilliantly as he collided with the wall of the spatial crack. The impact shattered the wall, sending a thick curtain of smoke billowing outwards. The bald man's eyes were wide with disbelief. "Is there still a mutant beast beneath the ground?" he asked, his voice tinged with concern. Hong Yu, also taken aback, feared for Lu Sheng's safety. Without a moment's hesitation, she ran towards the smoke-filled area. "Are you all right?" she called out, her voice echoing through the haze. From within the dissipating smoke, Lu Sheng emerged, standing triumphantly atop the corpse of a massive blue mutant beast. He casually adjusted his grip on his wrist with his other hand and offered a reassuring smile. "I'm fine," he said calmly. "I was just testing my strength without using weapons." He surveyed the area with a nod. "Now, let's collect any useful liquids and move forward." Lu Sheng went ahead. Hong Yu's astonishment grew as she noticed the giant mutant beast lying motionless nearby, its blood staining the ground. She couldn't fathom how anyone, let alone a single person, could deal with such a threat so easily. Her thoughts were interrupted when she noticed more figures approaching through the haze. As Lu Sheng turned his head, his expression shifted from calm to one of genuine surprise. "We've got company," he announced, his voice laced with intrigue. Hong Yu's eyes darted back, and panic set in. Her previous shock quickly morphed into alarm. The appearance of strangers in such a perilous part of the spatial crack was unsettling. With a determined look, she unsheathed her swords and ordered her team to remain on high alert, ready to defend against any threats. The members of her squad took up defensive positions, their weapons drawn and eyes scanning the shadows for any signs of danger. The approaching figures emerged from the darkness, their blood-stained boots marking their grim journey. Hong Yu's fear turned to shock as she recognized them. The Red Snail Star team. They were battered and wounded, each member showing signs of severe fatigue. Among them was a woman with a bleeding arm, supported by a man whose own injuries were evident. Another hooded figure stood silently, while an elderly man and another hooded person followed closely. As relief washed over Hong Yu, she waved vigorously and called out, "Yao Yu, it's good to see you alive. You're an ally." Her voice was filled with a mixture of joy and concern. Yao Yu, the leader of the squad, lifted his hand to his head, beginning to remove his hood. His face, marked by exhaustion and recognition, was revealed as he stared at Hongyu with a lost expression. The tension in the air was palpable as they exchanged glances. Moments later, Yao Yu's team settled down. Some found temporary respite on nearby rocks, while others slumped against the stone walls, their bodies visibly drained. Hongyu approached them with a calm demeanor, though her eyes betrayed her anxiety. She asked Yao Yu, "How long have you been here? And what happened to you all?" Yao Yu, seated atop a rock with a pensive expression, remained silent for a moment before speaking. "We've been down here for nearly a month," he admitted, his voice strained. "We've lost more people than we care to count and haven't achieved anything worthwhile." He glanced at Lu Sheng with a mix of curiosity and concern. "How many more floors are you planning to descend?" His eyes, now steely and resolute, bore into Lu Sheng's. Yao Yu's expression hardened as he warned, "Avoid descending below the 25th floor. The warriors down there are insane. We've seen them massacre each other without a shred of mercy. 2 official military squads have gone dark, completely lost contact." His voice grew grim as he recounted their dire experiences. He reached for his cloak and removed it with trembling hands, revealing bite marks on his arm. His face twisted with pain as he displayed the injuries. "I barely escaped the 26th floor with my life. These bites," he paused, clenching his teeth, "they almost cost me my life." Hong Yu's face turned pale as she saw Yao Yu's wounds. Her hand flew to her mouth, horrified by the brutal reality of their situation. She looked at Lu Sheng with wide eyes, recognizing the ferocity and madness that had overtaken the martial arts fanatics. Lu Sheng's gaze shifted from Yao Yu's wounds to the darkened depths of the spatial crack. The ferocity of the fanatics was now clearer to him than ever.